Former Vice President Joe Biden is concerned that his potential 2020 run could be facing a fundraising roadblock. The Associated Press reports that those close to Biden have told him that they believe he will be at a fundraising disadvantage compared to his rivals, who have received a flood of early small donor donations. Biden may be forced to rely on wealthy individual donors to fund his run, according to a person with direct knowledge of his thinking. Democrats in crucial primary states have also warned the former vice president that it's becoming difficult to persuade holdouts to be patient as the crowded field of contenders are fighting for support.
Let me stop there before we get to the Des Moines Register poll, because it is fascinating. But Steve Ratner, I want to go to you. I mean, things have certainly changed an awful lot over the past decade. It used to be, this was basically a closed contest for Republicans or Democrats alike. You get really wealthy people, you get bundlers, and you're off to the races. At least for the Democratic Party now, small dollar donations play an important role, not an outsized role, but certainly equal to that of people that can raise money in large sums. Bernie Sanders certainly showed that last year, but there is a concern, and I've heard it from Democrats about Joe Biden, and the fact that he's just may not excite the base enough to be able to bring in the small dollar donors, and he will be dependent on the big donors and little else.
Yeah, I think there's a number of things in there, Joe, I'll try to unpack quickly. First of all, as you said, the fundraising dynamics in both parties, I think, but certainly in the party I know better, have flipped around completely from a time when bundlers, individual givers dominated, to now the online small donors dominating. What Sanders did after his announcement of raising $6 million in 24 hours was stunning, because you can do the math. How many $2,700 checks do you have to collect to equal that? And so there's a school of thought in the party, which I think has some merit, that that the candidates who can raise money that way, who are essentially Sanders, Warren, Kamala Harris, possibly Biden, and certainly Beto O'Rourke, if he gets into it, will have a substantial advantage over the ones who have to go around collecting those $2,700 checks. Biden's ability to do that online is questionable. He's got the name recognition. He's got a database that he inherited from the Obama years. But whether he has that same personality, that same ability to draw that money in, is up in the air. And Biden famously hates fundraising. He hates making those calls. He hates going to those meetings. So if he can't raise it online, he's going to be forced into that setting. And so the fundraising piece of it could be very dispositive in a field this large. And you could see people literally not making it to Iowa because they can't raise the $30 or $40 million they need to do to be competitive there.
Well, you know, Jake, we're starting to hear reports, certainly heard it over the weekend, that for some even big Democratic donors, the Hamlet Act of Joe Biden is getting old. They want him to either jump in the race or announce that he's out of the race, so they know what they're going to do. You know, you could say it was early in December when he was, you know, rubbing his hands together, trying to figure out what's going on. We're in the middle of March now. It's getting real. And yet we had a Des Moines Register poll that came out over the weekend as well that showed Joe Biden and Bernie Sanders lapping everybody in the field. I mean, Biden at 27%, Bernie at 25%, Elizabeth Warren at 9%, Kamala Harris at 7%, Beto at 5%, Corey at 3%, and Amy Klobuchar also at 3%. So how much longer is Joe Biden going to keep the world waiting, and is the political world going to go on without him if he doesn't decide soon?
I would say the Des Moines Register poll is basically a name ID poll at this point. So early in the campaign, obviously Joe Biden has huge name ID. I will say this, though. Politics, especially presidential politics, is about personality and authenticity. This is a guy, Joe Biden, who has been thinking about running for president his entire life, ran twice, almost ran in 2016 and decided for family reasons not to. And I think a lot of people, it's not clear what's taking so long. And I think a lot of people, when looking at the field, are forgetting about him, because this is not a guy who has had a lack of time, a shortness of time to think about this decision. I mean, it doesn't pass the straight face test. It doesn't pass a believability test. The field is taking shape without him. I mean, forget about the fundraising for a second, but people are taking up oxygen. The field is taking shape, ideas are taking shape, and he's nowhere. So it doesn't make sense. It doesn't pass the straight face test, as I said, and he needs to do this soon. Are you
suggesting that he's not going to jump in the race?
No, I'm just suggesting that he needs to do it soon, because people don't understand. I think people are looking at the field and they don't understand what exactly he's doing. He's been thinking about this decision his entire life, and he doesn't seem to be able to make a decision. If this is an issue that animates you, if you're a Democrat and you believe Donald Trump, as many Democrats do, is destroying the country, what is taking so long is, I think, the sense that I get from a lot of Democrats.
Yeah, exactly. Nick, Confessori, one more question about this Des Moines Register poll. If Jake is right, and I think he is, that an early poll like this, which would have shown Rudy Giuliani and Hillary Clinton lining up for the 2008 general election, but if a poll like this is about name ID, then why is it that Elizabeth Warren is down at 9%? I was surprised she didn't rate higher.
I'm surprised too, Joe, and the honest truth is I'm not sure. I can't see the reason for why she's also not doing better with small donors, where she has in the past. And she's the most idea-centric candidate in the field in some ways. She's swinging big. I can't explain it, except that maybe she is suffering from the same thing to some extent that Joe Biden is. You know, we are now living in an era of viral politics, where candidates like Mayor Pete and Ocasio-Cortez, who's not running for president, obviously, can just create moments and create a following instantly with those moments, raise money outside the power structure of conventional politics. And for Biden especially, he is a candidate of the old school. He's a candidate of bundlers and name ID. But there is a new kind of politics coming, and aside from all the other factors that Jake put in there, he has to find a way to live and work and succeed in this new era of politics.
All right, and Elizabeth Warren, sticking to her message, very much the message of her campaign and her life. She went after the big banks, and now she's going after big tech. We'll see where that takes her.
Thanks for checking out MSNBC on YouTube, and make sure you subscribe to stay up to date on the day's biggest stories. And you can click on any of the videos around us to watch more from Morning Joe and MSNBC. Thanks so much for watching.